Welcome to Meet Your Oscar Winner. I'm Carolyn Jardina, and I'm here with John Nelson, who this weekend won an Academy Award for visual effects for Blade Runner 2049. Congratulations.
Yeah,
and this is actually John's second Academy Award.
He
previously won for Gladiator. And your team, and they all won their first award,
that's correct.
Was Gerd Nefster, Paul Lambert, and Richard Hoover.
That's correct, yeah.
So congratulations to
thanks.
all of you.
Thanks. We're all still pretty high from last night. You know, it's a magic evening, and we had a really great time. And from the time you hear your name mentioned, you're sort of like shot full with like adrenaline, and you just go, whoa, guess I have to talk. And then you talk, and then the night goes on forever, which is sort of cool.
And then you went backstage and you were making videos.
Yeah, and it's like you go because the Oscar thing is you win and you're completely amped up. Then they have a thank you cam where you can if you blew it and didn't thank somebody. We had this whole thing together where we were all going to tell like whenever Denis Villeneuve, our director, really liked something, he would say with a heavy French-Canadian accent, "I deeply love it," right? And so we were going to all say that to him, but we didn't get a chance. So on the thank you cam, we all said, "Hey, to Denis Villeneuve, we deeply love you, man."
Well, actually, this is another chance to thank anyone that you didn't
Denis,
get
we deeply love you, man. Yeah.
You had the Oscar experience, and then you went to the Governor's Ball.
Yeah.
And I believe when you were having your Academy Award engraved, you met Frances
McDormand
and had a moment with her and her Oscar.
Yes,
Can you tell us about that?
I got a chance to tell Frances McDormand how much I loved her and respected her and thought she was good in everything I've ever seen her in. And I thought her moment where she put her Oscar down and all the women stood up was a really special moment. And so she was great. So she took her Oscar. She goes, "Let's kiss Oscars." And she took her Oscar. It was great.
Visual effects obviously is a team sport, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know you had multiple visual effects houses and a lot of collaborators. Could you just share who some of your...
Oh, yeah. It's first of all, I think if you heard Roger Deakins' speech last night when he was talking about the movie, this movie was very much a group effort, and it was like everybody working together, you know, and we had a ton of really talented people. It was like the New York Yankees of filmmaking. I mean, Andrew Kozloff and Broderick Johnson at Elcon just amassed a team for this movie that was very impressive. And so all of the departments, like Roger and I, really overlapped a lot and worked together to try to make it one continuous look, right? And with Dennis Gassner, of course, the production designer, who designed the sets and everything. And then like Hans Zimmer and the sound guys did the same thing in sound, where they made the sound and the sound effects and the music and the sound effects sort of overlap. And it was the same thing with the visuals for the cinematography and the visual effects to overlap. And then the sound effects came in and just made all the visual effects work just sound amazing, right? And it just made it all. But, you know, when you're working on a film for Denis Villeneuve, it's like he's the overreaching, you know, like he's over everything. And it literally comes out of his heart, and it all blends together in Denis' vision, which is, it makes it so much better. I mean, I really loved working with him.
That's great. You mentioned Roger. Roger Deakins received the cinematography.
Yes,
Oscar, 14th nomination.
Yes.
Did you get to see him afterward?
I did. I saw him at the Vanity Fair party, and we had big hugs and big smiles. And when I came back, like I don't know if, like when you win the Oscar, you say your speech, and then you go and do thank you cam, and then you do stop for photos, drink a glass of champagne, then go do press. Before press, you stop for photos, then drink a glass of champagne, then go down and you react to you accepting. They film you reacting to you getting the thing. They film that moment and drink another glass of champagne. Then you go down and talk to the press and drink another glass of champagne. And then by the time I got back to my seat, it was like up for Roger's award. So when he got it, I was just like I had 3 glasses of champagne, and I was just screaming, you know, like, yes. because I was just so happy for him because
It was a great moment.
It's a great moment. I mean, because he easily could have won 4 or 5 other times. You know what I mean? Like really, he's that good all the time, right? And just to see him, he was so happy because Roger can be an intense guy, and he was just so happy last night. It was great.
Yeah. And then on the visual effects side, tell us about some of your.
The
some
guys.
of them
Yeah.
were some of the visual effects houses that you worked with.
Yeah, it was. We had 8 vendors, and I think 3 or 4 countries. But I'll list them all. It was Double Negative Vancouver, and then Framestore Montreal. And Paul Lambert was the supervisor at Double Negative Vancouver, and Rich Hoover was the supervisor at Framestore Montreal. And we had 1,190 visual effects, basically 1,200 visual effects. And I think Paul at DNEG did 281, and then Rich at Framestore did 271. But then we had, really other houses that I really love. Like I love UPP, and Victor Mueller. And so we used UPP and Victor Mueller to do some stuff. In Prague. Then I love Bouffe and Pierre Bouffant, and so we did some stuff with him in Montreal and in Paris, right? We had the Framestore art department working in London for us, and working through Montreal, but with London to design, cities in Las Vegas and whatnot. And then we had Atomic Fiction do BB's Bar. We had Rodeo did a great job with Deke France, one of the best matte painters in the world. And I really wanted to use miniatures and matte painting as an extension for the look, so it wouldn't all look CG, right? And so we had our miniatures done by Weta Workshop in New Zealand, and shot by Alex Funke. Ben Milsom built the miniatures there for us, and they were huge. They were like, 12 feet tall, 14 feet tall, and that's our miniature, right? And so what are the other vendors? So it was Atomic Fiction, Rodeo, in-house, UPP, and an MPC. An MPC had a small part of the movie, but it was incredibly important. It was bringing Rachel back from 1982, right. and that was done by Richard Clegg and his team in Montreal, and they did an amazing job. Guys, if you're listening, you did an amazing job,
Right. This is in the case you had a body double, and then you had a CG version.
Early on, I knew that because Andrew Kosoff and Broderick Johnson told me, they said, and Denise said, this needs to be the best digital double, like ever, better than anything else we've ever seen. So what I did is I looked at all of the great stuff done by Hal Hickel and at ILM and Eric Barba at DD for Benjamin Button, who I was nominated against. They beat me for when I was up for Iron Man, and all that stuff was really good. And we knew we had to just take it a level past it. So we cast a woman, Lauren Pita, who's a very talented British actress, and then we put her in full hair and makeup, and then dotted her face, and then we replaced. And she on the day performed with Harrison. And then we had we flew Sean Young in super secretly to be on set that day, right? So she was there on set with Denis advising. And it was funny because she saw Harrison and she called him Harry, from the old days, what I mean? It was funny. But, and so then we replaced Lauren from the neck up with a CG head and CG hair. And it was really quite a process.
What I did want to ask you, though, about the processes, this notion of, moving to using digital to create a human is something we've been talking about for a while, but one of the early examples is something you actually did on Gladiator.
Yes.
When Oliver Reed passed away.
That's
during
correct.
production.
Yeah.
So where do you see this heading from here?
Well, people have asked me, when will we be reproducing actors and having them in it? It's just, my response was, well, it's really hard to do. You need a proper reason. Yeah, you need a proper reason to do it because it's sort of prohibitively expensive and it's difficult. And we are, from the time we are about 2 years old, we are all experts in the human face and human reactions. It's how we learn as a species, by looking at each other. Even though I have horrible eye contact, that's the thing that really does it for people. So we all are experts, and it took to do. Rachel, we had a code word for her called Rita, so I still call her Rita. And to do Rachel or Rita, it took a small team about a year, right? You know what I mean? To do that many shots to get it that good. And that's why MPC had a small, the number of shots they had, but the importance was really great.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
In this case, for the story, you had to have Sean in her 1982.
Yeah, and she had to, and we did whole things where we'd put in subtleties like blemishes or flyaway hairs, right, to make it all seem more real. And then we even tried to track in emotions from the first movie, so you sort of had this product identification as Sean as Rachel, not Sean as from Dune or Sean from No Way Out. You know what I mean? It was like particularly to that character.
Let's go backstage. What was your favorite part of the show last night? Other than obviously your category.
Well, it's just it's when you're up, it's hard to look at the show in a because you're so influenced, your emotions are just going like, well, we went, you know, or oh, come on, let's go to the bar, you know, we don't. And I think my favorite part was Guillermo and his speech. He's always so eloquent, and I mean, like I've seen him in London at BAFTA give a speech, and last night he's always like he speaks from the heart with such pure emotion. You just got to love the guy. I mean, and I loved that movie. I thought Shape of Water was the best picture of the year. And I mean, because I remember when I watched it with my whole family, we all looked at each other and went, wow, I mean, what was bad? Like, everything was good. You know, the effects were good. Octavia's good. You know, who's the lead? Sally Hawkins was amazing. Just amazing. And she didn't even talk. You know, she's like doing it all with her hands. And it was just outstanding.
She was so expressive, yes. What's next on your plate?
Well, I mean, Denis is writing Dune, and I would like to do it, but, you know, we'll see. And I've done 2 movies in a row, and it's taken over the better part of 3 years of my life. And I really promised my wife I would give her several months without movies. And so one would think that those several months have already happened, but the award season is so hectic and busy that it really, so several months is starting now, right? And so, I mean, I think, you know, Ridley's doing Merlin, Denis doing Dune. Those are great movies, right? You know, but, you know, we'll see. I'll take a couple months off. Midsummer, we'll see what's there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in and joining
Thank you, Caroline.
us. And congratulations.
Thank you. And it's just really great. It was just a labor of love. This movie was a labor of love for everybody, you know, and the guys, if you're watching out there, visual effects crew that worked on this film, this is for you because you guys did such a great job. All right.